Hi guys, this is Radhika here again. So this video is going to be a little mostly spiritual. Um, and so if you are not into that kind of things, then I just wanted to give a disclaimer out there because of course you will see it from the title of the video. But yeah, it's about spiritual things and it's about spirits actually. So as I discussed in my previous video with the spiritual experiences that I started having, I would see like these wavy kind of like waves in the air figure out of the corner of my eyes. And when I looked there, I wouldn't see anything. But if I look straight ahead, I can see something is there. And I thought maybe like my eyesight is going bad or something. So I got my eyes checked and everything was fine. And my although I wear contact lenses, nothing changed. My number was the same, everything was the same. So yeah, I kind of realized that, and I saw some videos and I realized maybe I'm seeing some beings which are from another dimension. And I did not believe in this stuff actually before, although I hated horror movies just because they get your heart pumping with the music that they have. And also I have an overactive imagination, so if I see something horror and then I'm alone in the house, I will feel fearful. So I think I have not seen a horror movie in the last 14-15 years. I haven't seen any. um, so yeah, I was scared of ghosts as a kid because that's what happens. You see all these horror shows and other kids scare you and even adults scare you that there might be a ghost there and this and that. But I don't think it's something to be scared of because you are in complete control of yourself all the time. And if you see a ghost, it is a projection of the fear that you have inside of you. So if you do some inner work, if you understand things to a greater degree, this fear goes away. And it's kind of like fearing bad people. So we know that in this world there are terrorists, there are people who want to kill other people, there are people who want to take money and things from you. And being scared of a ghost is kind of is similar to being scared of bad people in this world. It's only that bad people you can see physically because they have a body, and they try to steal your material things, or they might try to take your life, or trouble you in one or the other ways. And it's the same with these entities of other dimensions. They try to do the same, only they try to take your energy because they are not material. So they will try to scare you in different they might try to scare you in different ways and take your energy. And but you have total control over your body. Like in the real world, if you find a thief, if you know some martial arts, you can save yourself, you can save your belongings from the thief. Similarly, in the energy or the spiritual world, if you know your basics of energy protection, or how to protect yourself and not get harmed by these beings, it's I don't think it's something that you need to be scared about. It's just something that you need to be educated about, probably. And there's a lot of education available online, so you can see it. So yeah, spirits are both good and bad. There are bad spirits, there are good spirits. Just like there are good people, there are bad people. There might also be neutral spirits, like neutral people. And so yeah, that's how it is, I think. And so yeah, for my experience, what happened was, I started seeing after these like wavy things on the side, I would also be able to see like waves in front of me. And if I could sometimes when I'm seeing things, like suppose this is the object that I'm looking at, I could see a layer in between this object and my eyes. There was a layer. It wasn't air, it was something else, because air is transparent and you can see through it. You don't actually see the air, but I was seeing something between me and the object that I was seeing, and I was not sure what this is. And that thing was more towards the object than, like it wasn't between us, it was more near the object that I was watching. Um, so yeah, anyways, I started having this experience, and I started seeing a lot of waves in the air, like it's like hot air. um, then I started getting some answers for my thoughts, and these answers would come in different ways. So a lot of time I would be thinking of something, maybe about the narcissist or about spirituality or just figuring things out in my head, and I would suddenly hear a noise, coming from the roof of the house. So, and we were actually new in the house, but this was after 2 months that we moved in. So for some time I was feeling like, is my house haunted, is this house haunted? And but it was nothing bad. I mean, I would just get like, what do you say, like a confirmation of my thoughts. If I'm thinking something good, or even if it's not good, but say I'm predicting something in my head that this is what will happen now, but not out of malice, but out of understanding that maybe this is something that will happen, or I think this is something that will happen, I would hear like some noise from the roof or something like that. And so I actually started paying attention to the noises that I'm hearing from my house. And a lot of time they would coincide with what I was. It was always after I had a significant thought. So like that I started paying more attention to my thoughts, like what I'm thinking. um, then I have this story. It's a true story. So I'm not making any of this up. So one day, me and my husband and my son, like my son is just a toddler, but one day we were watching a movie. We decided to watch some movie, and so we found this movie on YouTube, and it's called Angur. It's an old Indian movie, and my grandfather used to love this movie. And I just saw the movie in the thumbnails, and I suddenly remembered that, oh, my grandfather used to love this movie. So I put it on, and it was night time, and I think my husband was making popcorn or something in the kitchen, and me and my son were in the living room watching the movie. And I was suddenly thinking of my grandfather, and that, oh, he really liked this movie. It's based on Shakespeare, one of Shakespeare's plays, and it's a very funny kind of a movie. So I was watching it, and I was thinking about my grandfather. And this is our TV, and here next to the TV on the wall, this is at night, so it must be like 7:30, 8ish. I started seeing waves in the air, and it wasn't hot. The AC was on inside the house. Uh, and I was like, how am I seeing heat waves? Because it's not hot. And I just kept looking at it, and as I kept looking at it, the more and more they appeared. Like as I paid attention to it, they started like appearing more and more. Um, and suddenly I started feeling very eerie, like not scared, but just something weird is happening. Like not scared, but just it's a different feeling. It's eerie, like really eerie is the word to describe it. So I was actually, I did not say anything to anyone because I was just noticing it. And I just thought in my head that, is this a spirit that I'm seeing? Is this my grandfather? And I was sitting on a chair which is next to the front door that we have. And suddenly, when I thought these very thoughts, is this my grandfather? Is this a spirit? No, first I thought, is this a spirit I'm seeing? And the second thought was, is this my grandfather? And immediately the door opened, and it opened, but we have that like the iron thing that you put, like in olden days you have for the door, because this house is a little bit old. So So the door opened, but not completely because that iron chain was still on it. And I was like, what? Because I was already so kind of spooked out. And then suddenly the door opened, and I just like not scream, but I told my husband that, why did the door open? Why did it open? And he was like, what? Why are you so worried? Why did it open? And he had no clue because he was making popcorn in the kitchen. And I was like, yeah, the door opened by itself. And then he said, maybe it's windy outside. So I looked outside, and it was not that windy. There was a wind, but it wasn't so windy that it can open the door. It wasn't like, like storm windy. So, anyways, I closed the door, and then something happened. We watched the movie a little bit, and then my husband, he found it to be too slow or something like that. So we stopped watching the movie. But yeah, that is the story. So I think my grandfather visited me in spirit. And before that, I had been thinking of my grandfather for some time. I don't know why. But yeah, I was very close to him when I was a young child or a toddler baby. So um, so yeah, that happened. And then also I had I didn't have visitations from her, but I was also thinking of an aunt of mine who passed over, and she had been a victim of similar narcissistic family, which is actually my mother's family. And my mother also acted as a flying monkey in that incident, but I don't think she knew it. So yeah, so I was also thinking about her a lot, and I felt like she was also there for me during my tough times. And then another day I saw a lot of energy over my baby's crib, my son's crib. And it's energy, if I don't know if any of you can see it, but if you do, please do comment here, because I did not see it before. I just started, I don't always see it either. It sometimes happens. So I saw a lot of waves, like just like heat waves on top of my baby's crib. Then I have had a lot of dreams in which I have been like a spirit, I think, and I'm like on the top corner of a room and I'm looking down. So that's the perspective I get in my dream. I'm kind of looking down on things. Um, then another thing is, one day I dreamed, you know how dreams are, they can be really weird. So one day I had a dream in which I was, I don't know, there was an email and I could just see the screen. I don't know what it was, but it was me drafting an email. And I drafted an email and I sent it. And after I sent it, I realized it's from my grandfather's account. And the signature that I see there is Moksh Magic, which is my son's name. My son's name is Moksh. So I was seeing Moksh Magic in the signature. And I sent the email in the dream. And in the dream, I'm thinking that really my grandfather had an email account. And look at his signature, it's Moksh Magic. And this same process repeats another time. So I send another email, and after sending the second email, again I notice it's from my grandfather's account, and again I notice that the signature is Moksh Magic. So I kind of started thinking in the dream itself that what is happening? How come my grandfather had an email account? And I'm just wondering over that. And I think the logical part of my brain got started because of that thinking process. And I woke up and I looked and I was like, where is my son? And he sleeps in the bed with us. And he keeps like, going all around in his sleep. And usually it's in between us. So, but this time that I saw this dream, he was on the edge of the bed where the legs are, and he was on the edge, almost about to fall over. So I looked everywhere, and I was in sleep. It was like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. And I woke my husband up and I told him, "Where is Moksh?" And so we both looked, and my son was near my husband's legs on the end of the bed. So we put him back to his position, and we all was like, me and my husband and my son was already sleeping. So we were all very sleepy, and we went back to sleep. Uh, but yeah, that's what happened. And even in that instance, I think my grandfather, somehow in the spirit form that he is in, he manipulated my dream to kind of get my logical part of my brain kick started, so that I look at my son, because he could have fallen, and we have carpeting, so he would have been okay, and because we have a low bed, but still it would have been a shock for him to fall when he's sleeping. um, so yeah, so that thing. And also, if I were to relate this to narcissism, um, as I said in some other video, that um, it has been said of me that I do black magic, or I am a witch or something of that sort. And I did not believe that, actually, because I didn't believe in all this stuff. But just all these things, and realizing about narcissism and scapegoating and all these spiritual experiences, it has got me thinking that maybe there is some truth to that. Maybe the narcissist who said this to me or to other people about me, maybe they also have some sort of power, but they use their power for evil, not for good. And maybe I am like a shaman, or I might have been a witch in my previous lifetimes, and maybe that is a thing that I'm dealing with currently in this lifetime. Because as you know, in the old ages, witches used to be burnt. Any witch, any person who was suspected to have any magical power, a lot of them were burnt, or they were, people would push them out to live in the hills, not make them a part of the society, because these people used to blow people's covers. They used to be the whistleblowers. If they saw something which was not in line with creation, or not in line with the way that we are heading in life as humanity, um, taking you to the higher dimensions, these people would call it out, and these people would ask people to change or do something about it and try to change things. And that's what the people who want to stay in the condition that they are in, they don't like it. They want, to drive such people out. They don't like change. They don't like anyone questioning their authority, anyone saying that it can be a different way, it can be a better way, it can be a more productive way. So yeah, so actually, I never gave it much thought that someone has told me that I can do black magic, and maybe I call ghosts. And the story is basically, I used to I used to light incense. I still do. But whenever I used to go to office, I used to get late while coming home, and the mornings are so busy. So many times I would light the incense late at night, and not very late, but maybe 7 6ish. But in the winters it gets dark really quick here. So it's almost dark by 6 p.m. So if I used to do it at that time, because that's the only time I got. So anyway, so the narcissistic person who was living with us at that time, she had a belief that if you light incense in the dark, it calls ghosts. Like ghosts are attracted towards it. Now I don't know how true it is, or I haven't experimented with this, but I did not do it with the intention of calling ghosts. I just did it because that was my practice. I used to, like say a little prayer, light an incense, etc. So I did not do it with any negative intentions in my mind. So I don't actually believe that I was calling ghosts. Because I do believe that your intentions are everything. If you have good intentions, nothing bad will happen to you. And if you say the right intentions, only those things will happen to you. So yeah, so actually this was the whole thing, and she used to say I'm attracting ghosts because of what I'm doing, and it was kind of bizarre to me. But yeah, I mean, if it is said not to do something, then why do I want to do it? So I stopped doing it. But yeah, this person, she did believe that I do some tricks and some black magic and things like that. But to be honest, I haven't really ever paid attention to such things. But just the incidents that are happening in my life kind of made me feel like maybe I was a witch in some lifetime. And maybe that's why I always feel like an outsider, because maybe that's how I have felt through my lifetimes, through all my lifetimes, or through a lot of my previous lifetimes. I might have felt that way. So yeah, this was my experience in seeing spirits, and if you have similar experiences, please do comment below. Or if you have any more information regarding what I just said, I would be very interested to hear about it. So that was this. I wish you all a lot of love and a lot of light. Thanks. Bye.